Okay, I'm here, guys. Oh boy. All right, sorry for the delay on getting going here. But we're here, so that is great. Okay. I had to run to town kind of late this afternoon, and it was a big rush to get everything ready. I had to take some footage off the camera to make room for tonight's live stream, so a little frantic, but hey, that's life. So, hi Barbara. Hi Steve. Hi Mina. Hi Jeff. Hi Lisa. Hi Eric. Hi Rich. Yep, we have the kitty cat tonight. It's looking pretty good so far. Hi Rachel. Hi Laura. Hi Tracy. Hi Vivian. All right. So glad everybody's here tonight, and I hope you have had a wonderful week. So tonight we are just going to continue with more of the same on our kitty cat project here. Hi Larry. Okay. Let me see. I was thinking about this earlier, and I think I might start developing around this eye right here. It's probably a pretty good area that I can work on. Okay, so we have this eye pretty well developed. I am going to take some time and work on this other eye tonight. I'm going to throw myself over there in the corner. Alrighty. Hi, Mellow Yellow. Yeah, I think you guys can see that, but I need more tape, so. Okay. So we're going to kind of repeat the same process on this eye that we did on this one. I will probably start with some of these darker areas first and kind of start laying in the groundwork for those areas, and then just adding those really light first strokes in there, those tiny little ones that just show you the flow of the fur. and then we will add more layers to create the depth. Come on. Okay. Yes, please like and subscribe if you like this content. It's always much appreciated if you subscribe and then you hit the notification bell. Then you'll get notified every time I go live, which is pretty cool. Hi Shirley. So I did add, I think, 10 new patterns today on Woodbirding University. So if you get a chance, feel free to check that out. We also had a new blog post drop today on the importance of values in artwork. Hi, Dennis. Thanks, Barbara. Yeah, sometimes it's frustrating that you can't love a video instead of like it. I relate to that, and thank you for your support. Mina just put the link in the chat if you want to check out Woodbirding University. We do have 10 new patterns of different skill levels and a new blog post. So even though this area right here is quite light, that's okay. We're just going to get the the overall flow of the fur kind of established. And this one here, and the eye is kind of crazy. It goes a little bit sideways. Very cool. So you guys have seen some of the new posts on Wood Burning University. That's great. So I hope your guys' fall season is going really, really great. We have something called a sarvisberry, or they're also known as service berries or June berries or Saskatoon berries at our elevation. And I have been harvesting those like crazy. They are big and beautiful this year. They're almost like a blueberry, and they're about the same size as this year, a big blueberry. Normally they can be itty bitty, but they're huge this year from all the rain. So I have been out picking those as often as I can. I can generally pick almost 5 pounds of sarvisberries in about an hour. And then I bring them back home and wash them and freeze them for later. I'll make, jam, jelly. You can even make syrup out of them. But that's been a big priority right now, is just getting out and harvesting all of our wonderful produce that grows naturally out here. We even have some raspberries that are looking pretty good. Those are harder to get to, and it's like kind of dangerous. And I'm doing Mission Impossible style berry yoga picking, up high on banks and in fields full of logs, and it's crazy. But I think I got like 1 pound of wild raspberries and didn't get hurt, and I didn't get eaten by a bear, so that was pretty cool. Because they're in there, they like the berries too. Anyway, that's what I've been doing a lot lately, just because it's time sensitive. I know that once the season gets colder, I can get more into the studio, and I'm just trying to embrace that and enjoy the early fall, late summer season. And I hope that you guys are doing the same. Yeah, Barbara, sarvisberries are awesome. We do not have wild blueberries at our elevation. They're all just those sarvisberries. So I'm really kind of getting at a weird angle here. You guys can still see okay. I'm just trying to match the angle of our fur. But definitely turn the wood. It's so much easier. And then you don't get weird shadows and a neck ache, kind of like I'm doing here. Okay. Whew. Hi, Cheryl. Hi, Estella. Yes, Estella, the berries are delicious, although I can't eat them anymore. I grew up eating sarvisberries and all kinds of other wonderful fruits and vegetables, but I can no longer eat anything fresh, so it has to be cooked. Kind of frustrating, but I can take those berries, and my family loves to eat them raw, and then I cook them and can make, like I said, jams and jelly, and put that on toast, and it's just lovely. But they do taste a lot like a blueberry. So it was really neat. I went to my berry picking spot, and on the way there I had to take the four-wheeler, the ATV, and I heard this weird noise. It almost sounded like someone screamed really loud just once, and there's nobody up there. So I'm like, well, this is weird. And I stopped and I listened and I didn't hear anything. So I kept going. And I finally got to my berry picking spot and I turned off the ATV and was startled out of my wits by the same scream, but it was right above me and it was this hawk in this dead tree. It was right above me. And so I got some video of him screaming. So that was pretty cool. That was different. I don't think I'd been quite that close to one spontaneously, so pretty fun. And let's see, Barbara, oh, currants. Yes, we have both gooseberries and currants. So the gooseberries are going strong and the currants are almost there. They're not quite ready, but gooseberries and currants are very similar berries. Hello, Wandering Pyro. You harvested elderberries. That's awesome. Autumn olives and wild plums. Cool. We have in our area, I'm pretty sure they're red elderberries, and I think those are toxic unless cooked. You might let me know, but I don't think I have the black elderberries up here. Yeah, Barbara, those hawks can be very startling. They like scream. It's really crazy. Okay, so I kind of just have some of the darkest areas blocked in there. I might come up here after I retrieve my little pad here. And we'll work on putting some of these up in here. Just have to find, okay, here we are. So remember, like up in here, we have some really, really short hair, fur. So make your strokes very, very, very short. So Larry, you saw a red-tailed hawk. Those are cool. The Wandering Pyro. You also have black elderberries, but they're edible once cooked. Cool. Hi, Sophie. There's Sophie. So Barbara, you know the difference between an eagle and a hawk cry. That's pretty cool. I don't know that I would notice that. But now that you say that, I will have to listen. We have a fox that showed up at our place too. Not very cool though. I was watering the garden and it kind of came up on me all of a sudden, and as soon as it saw me, it took off, and I think it might be a female fox, but anyway, it's been pooping like right around our house, and we have cats that like to go outside, so I'm a little bit nervous about the fox. So I'll have to see what I can do about the fox situation. But and if you're new here on the live stream, this is part 2 of our mountain lion. So we're kind of just doing a repeat of what we already talked about last week. And that footage, along with tons of other live streams, are on patreon.com/Minisa. M-I-N-I-S-A. That is my name. And tons of footage there. So we, on our last live stream, we went in depth, in detail over how to burn what we're burning right now. So I did a lot of instruction last week, and sometimes on our live streams, we just chit chat. So tonight is a little bit more of a chit chatty one, although I will be talking about, you know, some certain areas like the ears that we haven't done yet. And we will definitely do some instruction here too. But if you're new and you're wondering, you know, what's all the chit chat, we're just kind of a big happy family here, and we like to visit while we wood burn and learn along the way. So but really just try to match your fur strokes with what you see on the pattern. These are really chunky and very short. That hair is almost looking straight on, and make your strokes just real short and stubby here. Okay. So I think it's always funny when I tell people, you know, we're just going to chit chat. We're not going to talk a lot about the instruction part, and the views go, everybody logs off. So not everybody, but my views go down. But I want to be honest, guys, and here we are. So Tracy, you can't leave your dog toys outside because the foxes will steal them. That's interesting. Eric, you like the chats just as much as the instruction. That's awesome. Very, very cool. I mean, I could like do the dry professor thing and just teach in a monotone, but I don't think that would go very well either. So we teach, we chit chat, and we get to know each other better. So that's all fun. Oh dear. So we, for the new people here, we, here where I live at 9,000 feet in the mountains of Colorado, we have had wild turkeys, and they come up. We've been feeding them for years, and we had one named Droopy, and he was an old bird, one of our first original 3 toms that we started feeding. Now we're up to like 9 turkeys. We picked up a couple extra, but still no sign of Droopy. We called him Droopy because he had a bad wing a couple years ago, and then last year he had 2 bad wings, and this year he had 2 bad wings and a really bad neck. So the other tom turkeys kind of drove him out. I saw him once or twice, maybe a half mile from the house, and we've not seen him since. So still no sign of Droopy. But the remaining tom turkeys are crazy. They get into what I call snood wars, because on top of their head they have something called a snood, and it's that thing that can either be really short or it hangs down over their face. And then they have a wattle down here. But anyway, when they're vying for dominance, these wild turkeys will grab each other by the snood, that little weird fleshy thing at the top of their face, and like play tug of war. And they fight like crazy. So we have had turkey wars like crazy the last couple days. This morning they about ran over our dog Sophie in the heat of battle. So pretty wild. They're fun to watch. They get really noisy and try to kick each other and attack each other and all that. Okay, so you can see how we're getting kind of almost like a little speckledy mottled effect in here. Now these values are not dark enough. We will go over them again and make them darker and kind of increase that value. But for right now, it's a great representation for me to see where the flow of the fur is going and the texture. So don't be afraid to start into furry critters when you wood burn, because it's actually quite simple. I just would really recommend that you start out really light in value and just play with that texture. Make sure that you get like long fur is going to have long strokes, short fur is going to have short strokes, and build up your layers. So so this is our kind of like initial sketch here. Barbara, yes, our hummingbirds are fighting as well. Pretty crazy. We fill our feeders multiple times a day. I think it was last Monday we went through 27 cups of hummingbird juice. We have feeders that hold 3 cups each. We went through and filled 9 feeders. So 27 cups of hummingbird juice in one day. And then we're usually averaging at least, 5 to 7 feeders a day. So they are very thirsty right now. So I am going to continue building this light fur pattern. Short strokes, just to get the curvature of what we're seeing here. Okay, I'm just going to scooch a tad and probably start kind of building some structure here. It is a little bit darker in the center, and we will just keep adding layers in that area. Oh wow, Barbara, you change your feeder every 3 days. Wow. Yeah, we have 5 feeders out. I think we might have 1, 2, no, we have 5. And I have to fill all 5 at least once a day. But they're so cool. They're so neat. You get Canadian geese. Cool. So just another, just really adding some more layers in here. Jeff, how do I do my patterns? I generally use several different layers of programs and software to create the patterns, and then like to transfer the patterns on, I generally just use like graphite paper. But before that, I run them through some filters and just use some different software for those. Yeah, guys, that's a lot of hummingbird juice. Mina has 4 hummingbird feeders. That's cool. And if I need to zoom in or change the camera angle here, guys, let me know. Let's start building some depth here around the top of the eye. Whew. Alrighty. So, next, I think I'm probably going to go back and let's add a few more layers in some of the darker areas. So just really going to go slower with the burner. Anywhere that's in focus is going to have a lot more hard edges, and as we get farther out away from, like down in here, we'll do a lot of soft edges. Mellow Yellow, your husband's gone fishing? So you have the TV. Nice. I bet everything's really big on the TV. I bet that's pretty cool. Rachel, you do get to see lots of little critters though. That's cool. So in here we have a little bit longer strokes, so we're going to try to replicate that and create longer strokes to match the longer fur. Lisa is asking, am I zigzaggy or up and down? Well, I'm not sure on your definition of those terms, but I'm using a back and forth motion. So every time I set the burner onto the wood, whoop, hi, there we go. I'm burning and lifting and then back, burning and lifting. So generally I do that back and forth kind of swinging motion, and I do that even with shorter strokes. The only time I would do it like maybe one directionally is like if I have, like if this was the nose and I had fur coming away from a certain point, I wouldn't want to switch back and maybe burn into it. I hope that makes sense. But I could burn like this. Anyway, normally it's kind of a back and forth, kind of a swinging motion. Okay. Yeah, I don't usually do like zigzag. Every time I do a fur stroke, I set the burner onto the wood and then lift for each and every fur stroke. It does look kind of like a zigzag because I do it pretty quickly, but each and every fur stroke I'm touching down and then lifting off again. Because if you zigzag and if you keep the point on the wood for a zigzag, that's going to create those stop spots right there every time you change direction. So you have to put the burner down and then lift in a gradual arc. I hope that makes sense. Okay, now we can add some more layers up in here. So I do have that little pro point that I created, and since it burns at a hotter temperature, is it on? Yeah. I might do some of the darker areas with that just to kind of speed things up a little bit, but it's the same general effect. Just move the burner slower, use the upper tip for texture, rock that point down for smooth shading, and kind of softer edges. Oh, Mellow Yellow, you usually watch this on your phone. I guess there's a lot more detail on the TV then. That's pretty cool. Dennis, yes, low, slow airplane. Yep. Low temp, slow airplane. I think it's actually slow, is it slow, smooth airplane or cool, slow airplane? Some cool, slow airplane. I think that might be the video that I put out as far as shading to avoid the stop spot. Cool, slow airplane, because you want to operate at a cooler temperature, move the point slower, and then use that airplane transition. And that will avoid the stop spot. And remember, the more layers that you have in the fur, the more realistic it's going to look, the more depth you will have in the fur. Hand is getting hot. Of course, it's pretty toasty in here anyway. So just going back over some of our darker areas and adding more layers and darkening everything up a bit. Larry, you just got another commission. That's awesome. Of a police captain's badge. That's really cool. Congratulations, Larry. That's got to be so fun. Very cool. Wonderful, Larry. Yeah, I would be excited too. That's so fun. I think it's very exciting and validating to get custom orders and commissions. Because somebody is trusting you to create something very like sentimental and very personal. I think it's a really very honorable position to be in. Very, very cool. So we're pretty dark here alongside the nose. So we'll just go slower and try to add in more of those layers. Ah, Lisa, I hope that your move has gone well. Moving is always a bit of a stressor, but glad that you're getting settled in. And you have a big TV, awesome. Okay, alrighty. So we have started out with our darker areas and then added some more layering in there. So the next thing that we're going to do is just keep building up on kind of our fur pattern as we very carefully burn. I might kind of stick around the eye here and see if we can't get some life in those eyes. Thanks, Barbara. Yeah, Lisa, one box at a time when moving. I completely relate. We moved, oh gosh, like every 2.5 years for several years until we finally are where we are now. And it's been, almost 7 years and we still have boxes. Barbara, you too. Yeah, we still have boxes that I haven't unpacked. You know, at that point, I should probably just take the whole box and just donate the whole box. Because I haven't needed it or thought about it in 7 years, so let it go. Do the Elsa thing and just let it go. So just really try to match the direction of the fur. These are all very short strokes, so are short pieces of fur, and therefore I am matching the shorter strokes. Yeah, 7 years, Dennis. Just gotta go through it at some point. Obviously, stuff that you haven't used for 7 years is not all that important, so give it to somebody else. Maybe they could use it. So I am blowing on the point just a little bit with my breath to kind of cool the point down for some of these really lighter values. Now these little areas in here, the fur is so short, it's almost like stippling, you know, just little dots. Oof. So just really make these super, super small. If you need to turn down your temperature so that you don't get like burn marks, go ahead and turn down the temperature. But these are very, very, very short strokes. And I hope you guys can see that on the camera. If I need to zoom in, please let me know. Oh, Mina, last time you moved, you were unpacked in less than a month. That is awesome. I tend to put off things that I don't want to do. And yeah, so I have boxes that have been sitting for 7 years because there's other things I want to do. So good for you, Mina. That is so cool. Oh man, you guys are all so much more organized than I am. I love it. Rachel is asking, could you use a small ballpoint for the stippling? Yes, you could. I don't really want to switch points, so I will just keep at it with this. But yeah, you could use a ballpoint. And the other thing is with the shading point, you can actually get some really dainty stippling with this as well. Hopefully you guys can see that. But you can get some really nice stippling with the shading point as well. There we go. So I don't have the ballpoint plugged in right now, so I'm just going to keep going with what I have. But yes, you could use the ballpoint. Very good point. Lisa, you're a procrastinator like me. Awesome. Oh, you guys are fun. So Larry, you're going to see if your friend can make you a pro point. That would be so cool. So on this side of the nose, the fur is just a little bit longer, so you can kind of do some longer strokes in there. Moving on to the cheek. Barbara is asking, do I have any storm cloud videos? I guess, do you mean like me wood burning a storm cloud? Or like videos of storm clouds building? You might clarify that and let me know. Because any storm cloud videos? Sorry for all the clanking noises. It's just the cord hitting the desk. Okay, so Barbara, you're asking if I have any videos of me wood burning storm clouds. There was that master class that I taught for Rachel over at Woodburn Corner, and I think we touched a little bit on like smoke or clouds. We did black background, smoke and clouds, and then water droplets. So I think that is, that's my main, the summit. Was it the summit or a master class? I think it was the master class. Okay. But yeah, so that is available for patrons. The master class that I did, I'm pretty sure it was the masterclass, Mina, that I posted on Patreon for everybody that included the black backgrounds, the fur, we're working on fur, the clouds and smoke, and then the water droplets. So I think that masterclass is available for the patrons over on Patreon. I'm kind of bouncing around here a little bit, guys, but it's coming together. Just lots and lots of different layering. Cool. Okay. You're welcome, Barbara. And like I talked about in the last video, I do like to kind of bounce around when wood burning fur because it helps to keep me fresh, and I don't like make really repetitive fur patterns. If you stay in the same area, generally you're going to start repeating your hand motion, so it helps to lift the point, go somewhere else, work on a different area, and then kind of bounce around a little bit. At least that's what I found. Kind of helps me. And not to make fur too consistent. Mina, thank you. The post was made on May 8th, where I posted the masterclass of the how to do black backgrounds, smoke and clouds, and water droplets. That was one big class that we did. I think it was a 3-hour class, wasn't it, guys? I think it was. That masterclass was 3 hours. Or was it 2? I forget. Anyway, it was either 2 or 3 hours, but it was a big class. Okay, so something kind of interesting over here on this side, I think I only have like 1, maybe 2 layers. On this side I have 3 layers, and you can really see how the depth is starting to show up on this side. So I might continue just building layers here for a little bit. And then you can kind of see the difference between if you just do 1 layer of fur or multiple layers of fur. Vivian, I'm so glad that you enjoyed the master class. That was a big one. Mina, okay, so the one on the post on Patreon on May 8th was Realistic Eyes. Okay, I think the Summit one, which should be pretty close to that one. And I do apologize. I have got allergies like crazy right now. We've got something blooming up here that's got me so stuffy. So if I sound kind of weird, just allergies tonight. It's been going for like a week and a half now. It's kind of frustrating, but what can you do? So realistic fur is all about the layers, just layering and layering of fur. It can become a little bit tedious if you think it's that way, or you could think of it as like relaxing and you get kind of in the zone and you're able to kind of just let go of all the stress and the troubles that generally are on our minds all the time. So I do find a lot of satisfaction and kind of almost kind of a peacefulness when creating fur. So they have kind of that little stripe down the nose. I'm going to go back and add another couple layers here. And to get those dark values, just really go slower. Move that point much slower, and then you can get some of those darker values. Remember that darks push away from the viewer and lights pull towards the viewer. So by creating the illusion of depth with the darks and the lights, your project can really come to life. Oh, Vivian, you have allergies from the rains in Florida. Wow. Yeah, that's got to be very frustrating. I used to have really bad allergies when I lived down in the valley because we had all these hay fields everywhere, and I'm very allergic to hay. And then I moved up here to 9,000 feet. We really don't have any hay fields, and so I kind of got away with spring allergies, but now I have fall allergies because I think it's the ragwort that's blooming right now. But okay, so there we go. You can see how this side, look at the depth in the fur on that one compared to this side. If you only have like one layer of fur versus that's several, that's more than 3. I kind of lost track. We just kind of went with it, but more and more layers are great. Do what you need to do, Rachel. I totally understand little ones and crazy sleep schedules. So, and Laura, yes, you can definitely see the difference between those. Just more layers. And people are very different as far as how they approach things. Some people might want to just focus on one little area and do several layers and get it pretty much done. Other people might kind of bounce around a little bit more. So do what you feel is best. You don't have to, block in everything and then progress from darks to lights all across the image. That can take a long time and be maybe a little bit kind of disheartening to see a lack of progress. So if you complete kind of just a small section like we did with the eyes, it's like, ooh, this is coming together. I think I can do this. So don't, I guess you can tackle it with, go across the picture and just do darks. Like I taught in my book, The Wood Burning Realistic Animals. I kind of broke it down into burn all the darks. Find all the dark values in the picture and just burn those. And then next, find all of the darker midtones in the picture and burn those. And then the midtones and then the lighter midtones and so on. So in my book, I teach it kind of a step-by-step based on value. As you can see with this one, that's not what we're doing. The turkeys are going crazy outside. They're crazy birds. But anyway, in this case, we are teaching just kind of a little bit of a looser, more random kind of a thing. So do what you feel is best for you, whether you want to just stick with a value, just do darks, or then kind of come back and mix it up. So I hope that makes sense, but find the burning style that works best for you. Just lots and lots of layers. Come on, stay. Okay. We can kind of darken out this little eyebrow thing here a little bit more. Can you guys hear that? Let's see if I can do the gain. No, that's the other way. Anyway, those turkeys are like chirping and chittering in the background. They're crazy. They're trying to like do snood wars right now. Okay. It's kind of off topic, but I don't know if you can hear the turkeys in the background. I know I was going to post some of these videos, but I'm just going to take a little moment to be human. You can hear them. Okay, let me show you what they're doing because it's crazy. Who has been in my pictures? Okay. So this is what they were doing this morning. And so you'll see the dog is like laying right over here. And they're just crazy. Anyway, so let me see if I can get the dog in there. She's over. There she is. So there's our dog. She's just like, whatever, turkeys, you guys are crazy. And then they went running away. So that is, that's the sound that you're hearing. They're like chasing each other and going really, really crazy. I've got a lot of other videos for that, and I haven't put them up anywhere. I don't know where to put them. But anyway, so they're pretty crazy. So that's what they're doing. Yep. You're a toasty dog. You need to go outside and play with those turkeys. And the cat will get right in the middle of them, and she'll just lay down. She actually got really close this, yesterday morning because they were so busy fighting with each other that they didn't even see her coming. So that was pretty fun. She's tried to catch him over the years, and she can't. So she's just become an honorary turkey. They tolerate her. And like I've said in past videos, the turkeys will actually protect the cat from the deer that wants to kill the cat. It's pretty crazy. That's like the word of the day is crazy. Yep. Well, Tracy, yeah, I didn't know that they made that much noise either, because they're just so loud. Barbara, do I have a problem with the camera? I hope it went back. Steve, yeah, Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner, running around outside. I'm okay getting a butterball or something from the store because they're more juicy. These wild turkeys are just kind of dry. So we'll feed them and they'll entertain us and they can continue to live. Okay, guys, is the video still blurry or has it cleared up? I can probably do a spot focus. Maybe. Where are we? Menu. Everything looks pretty clear on my end. Spot focus. All right, let's focus on the wood burning now, so it should be okay. Okay, sorry. Okay, I refocused it, so it's right here now. It's focused on the eyeball. Okay. Okay, so we're like about an hour into this. Oh, okay. Yeah, if we're having vision, excuse me, like blurry challenges, you might like close out the window and come back. Okay, so we're looking pretty good on this so far. Excuse me. I think I will, let's jump around to one of the ears. I might do this one over here because it's just a little bit easier for my hand. And we'll start working on developing the dark areas in the ear and show you guys how to do that. Okay. So we're going to move up here a tad. And hopefully my tape is going to stay. Alrighty. Thanks, guys. I'm so sneezy. My nose is just going bonkers. Okay. So for the inner ear, I am going to be using this Pro Point just because it burns a little bit hotter and we can go a little faster. So remember that dark values push away, light values pull forward. So that is the push and pull that we are going to be doing here in this ear. And a lot of times before I burn an area, I will just take a look at it and realize that, okay, you know, this dark section here, it definitely pushes back. And then it's also kind of receding, or yeah, whatever the word is, over here. And then we have these little light hairs that are kind of coming forward. Same thing in here, the darker areas kind of dive into the ear, and then we have some lighter values that are closer to the surface. So I'm going to start with these darker values. And kind of build those up first. Tracy, I have not heard back from Walnut Hollow on the Pro Point yet. Yeah. I need to contact them again. Sorry guys, very sneezy. Excuse me. Thanks guys. I thought I muted it, but I don't know, my mute button is not working very well, so my apologies. Thanks guys. Now what? So just kind of blocking in these areas. Now these are quite dark. On the camera, this value looks almost like pure black. It's not. It's just a really, really dark brown. Something to keep in mind when you burn like a critter with a black background, be careful how dark of the values you get on your subject, because it can almost make the critter look, I don't know, like there's a hole in its ear or something. I'm not sure if that, if you guys understand that, but in a project where I have a black background, my darkest values, I really want to be the black background. And then everything else is going to be just slightly lighter than that. Thanks, Tracy. Thanks, guys. And since I'm here, I might even go ahead and outline part of this ear. I will keep kind of a softer edge and not, I don't want to indent the wood around the ear. So I'm keeping my burner kind of flat so it doesn't dig into the wood. And I hope you guys can see that I'm keeping that outline really kind of with jagged edges. I want it to be a little bit irregular. If I come in with like a really hard line, then it's going to be harder to tie in kind of like the little fuzzy parts of the ear. So if you kind of make just a little jaggedy edge around there, that kind of helps for the next stage. Okay, you guys remember in my book, my first book, I had that mountain lion coming through the darkness and into the light. And the mountain lion just kind of blended into the background. That's what we have here, if you guys can see in the background. The part of the cat, its shoulder is kind of out of focus. So I really want to make sure that I have a very, very soft edge right here. Absolutely no hard edges, because then I can bring that darkness down and kind of blend that in a little bit and soften it up. So that'll help to create the illusion that the mountain line is kind of receding in the distance. I need to blow my nose. I will be right. All right, thank you for that, guys. Hopefully I'm not sniffling now. Yeah, you guys heard Sophie drinking. She's a noisy drinker, that puppy dog. Rachel has a question. You remembered that I changed the shape of one of my razor tip pens to suit the way that I burn. Yes. Let's see. So it was I think it was called the small round shader. And excuse me, this one came out, it's not going to focus now because I changed it. This one came out like 10 years ago. Hi, Angela. But it has a similar counterpart. Hold on, guys. Trying to change my camera really quick. You're still not gonna focus. Okay. Anyway, so I think this is the new small round shader. This is the old small round shader. So you can see they're pretty similar. I don't think I've really tweaked this one just yet. This one here was really round and I wanted more of a point to it. So that's kind of what is going on with this one here. So small round shader, and then I kind of beveled it. I sanded it down on the sides to create more of a tip. Good night, Lisa. Where am I? Oh, okay. All right, so again, really want to make this edge right here really, really soft. You don't have to get it super dark to start with, that's okay. And we'll just kind of get that outlined. Okay. So now we have a little bit of an ear. And we will continue working on some of these darker values within the ear. Now remember that these ears are kind of out of focus, so you don't have to have those really itty bitty little teeny tiny fur strokes. You can make them a little bit softer and more chunky. You're very welcome, Rachel. So guys, if we have some new people here tonight, I guess I might pose a question to everybody here in the chat, and maybe your answers can help somebody that's on the live stream that's reading the chat. So if you want to participate, you're welcome to. If not, you don't have to. But as a wood burning artist, what is the biggest tip that you have learned that really helped you with wood burning? Feel free to share that in the chat, and we'll see if we can help out people. And who knows, you know, you guys might have some really good points that I have never thought of. So what is the biggest tip you've learned for wood burning? So I switched back over to the shading point. I do find that sometimes that the pro point on high heat can be a little bit like aggressive, like caveman style, that it's a bit more difficult to control. And I do have, I'm able to get a little bit more blending and daintiness with the normal shader point. So I'm going to go in and kind of blend out what I've already added here. The shading point is really cool. And if you really adjust the temperature, you can get pretty much the same effect as the shading point. But I don't want to wait for it to switch temperatures. So there is a little bit of a drawback to the shading point. But I don't know. Maybe it's just the mood I'm in. I want to keep going with the normal shading point. Every point has its merits, I think. So I'm going to kind of soften some of these dark edges in here. Hey guys.
Hello.
Hello. Okay. Huh?
Got a ring for you.
Okay, cool.
And
Yeah, you can just set it over there. Thank you. That's awesome. So talking about tips, the biggest tip that you've learned for wood burning. Barbara says airplane mode. Vivian says keep the temperatures down and build the dark values slowly. Very good. Larry says the biggest tip he's learned is how shading produces depth. Barbara says working in layers and controlling temperatures. Steve, don't be in a hurry. That is a very good point. Hi, Michael. Michael says shading with multiple layers. Angela says don't be afraid to burn dark and don't stay with beginner projects. If you stay with beginner projects, you'll always be a beginner. That is a very good way to phrase that, Angela. I think challenging yourself is a great way to learn. Mina, since I like to burn very up close, I bought a ring light with a magnifier glass in the middle. That is so cool. It allows you to see all the details better. Very cool. Tracy says never be afraid to try something new, such as shading. Oh, and shading, and always remember that there is an ugly stage to the burning. Absolutely. It's kind of an ugly ear right now. It's not coming together very well, but we'll just keep at it, and it'll be fine eventually. But yeah, this is the ugly stage of the ear. Laura says, don't be afraid to challenge yourself. So you do learn by making mistakes. Yep, that's one of the best ways to learn is by mistakes. Laura also says, take it slow and keep the temperatures down and build in layers. Yep. Rachel, just watching the videos has helped. Awesome. Very, very great. I think it's easy, or it helps to see people do something. I mean, you can read blogs all day long on how to achieve this and that, but sometimes I think there's, you really just need to see somebody do it and work through the challenges, because every art project is going to have some sort of a challenge. And I think if you just accept that, that's something that I didn't quite realize, but I should have, and by now I do, is every single piece of art I've ever created, there was some part of it that I did not want to do. For some reason, it intimidated me, or I didn't want to do it. It was going to be hard. I didn't know if it was going to turn out. And every single piece of art that I've ever made has had that. And a lot of times it's easy to just quit. At that stage, you have this great piece of art that's developing, and you come up against something that is tough, and you can't push through it, and then you just quit. So being able to understand and realize that, yes, you are going to have some part of your project that is going to be, or could be, challenging, and you don't want to do it, and just working through it. That's something that I've learned too with art. And just take your time and don't quit. Don't quit too soon. Mina has the best tip ever. Do not miss a Minisa live stream ever. Aw, thank you. You guys are so cool. I love that you guys get so much out of this. It's just fantastic to be here with you guys. Normally I don't have this much of a challenge with an ear, but this ear is kind of like kicking my butt tonight, and I don't know why. I know that sometimes when I get distracted, my art can suffer. Like I did a demo of a bison wood burning at a live craft fair, an outdoor craft fair, and I was so preoccupied with the people, I kept losing my place. And I think I finally had to just use that one for firewood, because I know I say don't quit, but it was at the point where I had like burned the wrong stuff in the wrong areas, and I'm like, oh, I can't save this one. So I was very distracted that day. But I'm not going to quit on this one. We'll make it happen. And just more layers. This is the ugly duckling stage. And sometimes another thing, when you're in that ugly duckling stage, or you're dealing with something like this ear is giving me fits tonight, take a break and work on something that you're more confident with. So I'm going to jump around here to, I don't know, we'll keep working on some fur strokes for right now. I'm just going to let that ear be for a bit, and I'll hit it again when I'm fresh. Maybe on the next live stream, but we kind of got a good start on it. It's really weird angles. I'm having a hard time burning some of these fur strokes, so I'm just gonna switch to something else for a little bit. We'll come back. We'll make that ear look just fine. Yeah. Vivian, yeah, you were working on that wood burning with an embroidered wedding dress. Those are frustrating, challenging. Cheryl has a great tip. Don't get frustrated by comparing your finished work to others. everyone has their own unique style. I absolutely agree. If you are, especially as a beginner and even as a more established artist, if you always compare yourself to someone else, you'll never get your own style. You've got to find out what you like. Now, you can take inspiration from other people, but you got to be true to yourself, for sure. It's easy as beginning artists to, you know, we're like at mile 1 on this huge marathon, and we're struggling, and we're trying to figure out how to do this. And we see these other people that are just crossing the finish line, and they've ran hundreds of miles, and they're really good at it. And we're like, well, you know, I can't be like that. Well, yes, you can. You just have to put in the time and the effort and be patient and finish your own race. We're kind of big on metaphors tonight. Thanks, guys. I hope everybody took something away from those wonderful, wonderful tips. So great job. Thank you guys for sharing your tips. It reminds me also of some great points. So I'm kind of like working my way up here. I'm still kind of burning some of these initial dark areas. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to start adding some kind of tentative fur strokes in this new section here, and we will start developing our kind of our base layer of fur. Vivian has a question. How do you package your finished works to be sent out of state or overseas? Vivian says, tomorrow I'm packing a bunch of woodburn plaques to send to PR. Is that Puerto Rico? They have me a little nervous. A bunch of woodburn plaques. Okay, so make sure that I would say each individual piece of art has its own bubble wrap or something very giving like that. Don't have your bubble wrap like, you know, there's a flat side to bubble wrap and then the front side is like has the bubbles. Don't put the poofy bubble side against the surface of your artwork. Flip that bubble wrap around so the flat side is against your project. I've heard some bad stories of those little dimples somehow transferring onto your artwork, especially if you have fairly new clear coat. So wrap it with the bubbles outward. Wrap each piece individually. So if you have, you know, 3, I would wrap each one individually before you put it in the box. That way the wood pieces don't eat each other in transit, especially if you have hardware, you know, hangers on the back, sharp edges, corners like that. Sometimes the bark can rub off on other pieces and make like little smudge marks. So Tracy says you could put styrofoam between the pieces too. That's very good. Keep in mind that you're shipping, when you ship stuff, it's going to get pretty manhandled or rough handled, however you want to say that. It could get tossed, it could get thrown around. So I try to plan for the worst and I wrap each piece individually and then put those poofy air pillows around your project. make sure that your box is big enough to house your projects with extra room. You would not want to put an 8 by 10 inch wood burning in an 8 by 10 inch box, because any kind of jarring on the outside of that box could dent and kill the edges of your piece. So if you have an 8 by 10 wood burning, put it in an 11 by 14 inch box. That will give you plenty of room to include the bubble wrap, air pillows. That's generally how I ship my stuff, is individually wrap the piece and then bubble pillows all around. Yep, you could try, Mina says you could put fragile on the box. These people handle so many packages that I don't think they even care if stuff gets broken. They just have a quota to meet. So in the end, you are going to be responsible for the safety of your projects. Also, make sure that you get insurance if you can. Here in the States, you can get certain shipping packages that, like, they automatically cover part of your, how do I say this? I'm multitasking. Certain shipping methods will cover automatically, like, up to $100, depending on the shipping thing. Good night, Eric. And you can also purchase additional insurance. So in the event that you have, say, $500 worth of artwork in that box and it sinks to the bottom of the ocean or it gets lost in transit, at least you can get reimbursed, hopefully from the postal people, for the $500 or whatever you bought the insurance as. I hope that makes sense. Big question, big answer to your question. I hope that helps. But I would definitely overprotect your project, because there's no guarantee that someone is going to treat your package nicely, because it says fragile, or I don't know. It's always scary to put something that you've worked on so hard and send it out into the world. Thanks, Mina. Angela says, when I send something, I imagine that a toddler is going to be playing with the package for days. That's a great viewpoint. Angela says, then I ask myself, would my art still be in one piece when it gets there? Yeah. Vivian, I was just thinking that it's like sending your child out into the world. Yeah. I actually had this really, really cool experience of creating a pet memorial, and you guys have seen it online. It's where the guy is kind of kneeling down with his dog, and there's a forest in the background and big light rays coming through the forest. And this person had an amazing group of friends that reached out to me and asked me to create this wood burning for their friend that lost his dog. I think his dog died of cancer. And it was a 16 by 20 inch project. It was very big, and I was really concerned about shipping it to make sure that it got there in one piece. And so one thing that I did to protect the front of the piece is I took like paper and I put it against the front of the project. I also didn't want him to see it. You know, it was a surprise thing. They filmed him opening it, and he had no idea what it was going to be. And so I didn't want him to open the box and see the wrong side or upside down or anything like that. So I taped a piece of paper onto the front. Now we're blurry. Okay. So I taped it on really well, and I said, this side up, and this is the front and all that. And he had no idea, and he opens it and he's like, what did you, what is this? He was almost a little bit kind of perplexed and grumpy. He's like, oh, it's taped on. I had taped the living daylights out of this package to make sure that it got there in one piece and very, very well preserved. So I had tape everywhere. And so he was actually getting pretty frustrated with the amount of tape that I had in place. So to this day, when I tape something up, I think about him. But anyway, he finally untaped the top and lifted down the paper and saw the wood burning for the first time. And it was a very, very emotional, revealing and very, very cool. And one of the highlights, I think, of my art career was watching him open that project, even though he was cussing all the tape that I put on it. So when I package stuff to send out, I make sure that it's really, really well preserved. So, sorry, segue here, guys. All right, so just kind of assessing where we're at. This is coming along pretty well. Is there any areas that you guys want to see? I could probably just go ahead and outline him. I think I might do that because he's kind of, I don't know, mishmashed. So I'm going to go ahead and outline this guy, and we'll just kind of block him in for our next stage. Hi, Alex Robertson. Alex is saying, I have difficulty pricing. How much for a piece you are doing now? Oh, that's a great question. We've had that conversation a few times. Pricing is so subjective. Like, this piece is roughly 8 by 8. Something that size I could sell for like maybe $200. If it's a custom order, I could probably double that because, there's a sentimental thing and there's, oh gosh, how do I say it? A scarcity to custom orders. It's not just like a one size fits all. You work with the client and it's a more personal kind of thing to work with an artist on a piece like that. But it depends on the demographics as far as where you're trying to sell it. It depends on whether you are an established artist or a beginning artist. When I first started, I could only sell something like this size for maybe 50 to 100, maybe $100, $50 to $75. A lot of my beginning pieces I just gave away because you're in that learning stage. It also depends on the complexity. This one has a lot of layering and a lot of complex features. If I were to do something smaller, like a bird, and it didn't take me as long, that would also factor into play. But generally, I mean, like even like an 8 by 10, I can sell for like $400 to $500. There's so many factors, so pricing is crazy. Just keep that in mind. If you put a price on your artwork and people gobble it up, you probably are priced too low. If you put a price on your artwork and people don't want to buy it, you're probably priced too high. So everything is kind of difficult to pigeonhole on pricing. So play it by ear, put your artwork out there, see how people respond to it. If people tell you your prices are too low, raise your prices. If you are selling everything that you're making, raise your prices. If you can't sell anything, either lower your prices or find a different market. I can drive an hour to the west and I can't sell anything because it's a less off community. I can travel an hour to the east and I could probably double my prices. Yeah, Angela, perfect. Demographics. Lots to go with pricing. Now, if you're in a gallery will take at least 40% of your profits. So you're going to have to change your pricing with that too. You get 60, they get 40. or they get 50 and you get 50. So gallery pricing can be different. There's so much on pricing. Okay, so Alex, you're on the right track. I hope that helps. It's kind of pricing in a nutshell. Okay, so that helped. I like the dynamics of our cat. We kind of have that ear blocked in. Cheryl says, I place a piece of tracing paper over the wood burn side. Someone who only used bubble wrap. Oh, you had the bubble wrap melt to your burning because it was hot. Yeah, I worry about that. It's kind of scary when wood burning sit like in a hot car or anything subjected to those hot temperatures for a while. It can be very scary. Good night, Dennis. Okay, so we kind of have that blocked in a little bit, and I'm just going to, let's see, where am I going to work? I'm just going to kind of refocus right here in the middle, and bear with me while I refocus. Okay. And I'm going to keep kind of building around the eyes. Lori Lee, you have a great question. Lori Lee says, I am struggling with the difference in what locations can pay. Is it okay to price differently depending on where you are offering it? That's a tricky question in itself, because if you sell a wood burning at a higher venue and you're able to get, say, like double your normal artwork, that's great. But if you post your prices online and they look you up and they're like, oh, I paid double than what she's selling now, that could be a little bit kind of sketchy. If you don't have your prices online, then yeah, you can just kind of sell what you want where you want, and the odds that the same person that bought your art at one fair comes to another is there. I think that's a dilemma that we all face. Try to, I would say, if you have higher end pieces where you can sell them at that higher venue, take only your biggest, best pieces to that higher level venue. Then you can automatically charge higher prices for something larger and more detailed. If you want to go to a lower class venue, take small projects, like little ones. Then people don't get so upset because they know that they're going to be paying more for a larger piece and less for a smaller piece. That's one way that you can kind of handle the different demographics, is by just take your best ones to the high venue and your smaller simple ones to the lower venue. Okay, so Lori Lee, your prices aren't online. Okay, you could maybe do a little crossover, but yeah, that's what I would do. And that's what I've done in the past. I've taken some of my beautiful big projects, you know, $2,000 for the train or whatever, and I went to a craft fair where most people just come and pay 20 bucks. I sold nothing. It was my very first craft fair experience, and I had all these really nice wood burnings, big, framed. They were gorgeous, and everybody just kind of like walks on by because they're not in the market. It was a completely wrong market. The next year, I went and I took smaller stuff like jewelry, and I sold like $1,000 in one day with just like jewelry, just little tiny things. So I actually went back to that same venue last year and not only took jewelry, because that sells pretty well, I took prints of my wood burnings, because you can sell those for under $100, you know, depending on the size, 20 to 60 bucks. I sold a lot of prints. So don't forget the print option when it comes to your artwork. If you can't find a good price range for the originals, go for prints. And that is a really cool way to kind of create passive income. You burn the project once, and then you can basically sell the print again and again and again. So I hope that helps as well. Because see, on my bucket list, I have, I want to get a booth in Aspen, Colorado. I think most people have heard about Aspen. And I want to get a booth up there for their summer fair and take originals. I've never really been able to sell originals at a fair before, and I think that'd be really, really cool. So it's something like Aspen. I would take original wood burnings and big prints. You could even have mid-range prints, but that's on my bucket list. It's not going to happen this year, but I think that'd be really, really cool to sell in Aspen and try to sell some originals. Yeah, Lori Lee, definitely think about prints. I use proprints.com, and I just take my own pictures of the prints. Ah, Michael has a great point. You also have to take the type of material being used in consideration to pricing. Yes. So depending on your materials, like generally oil paints are the most expensive. They bring in the most money is oil paints. And then you have probably watercolors and acrylics are the next best sellers. Like you can get more money for those. But if you really want to get the big bucks, look at oil painting, because that's kind of where the masters go to. Good night, Beverly. Beverly also has a question. How do I package my prints to sell? Let's see. I put them, I think, in a little flat box. If they are matted, I'll put them in a little flat box. If it's a smaller print, less money, I might carefully roll it up and put it in a tube if it doesn't have like a mat or a frame. If the print is matted and framed with either glass or plexiglass, then I put it in a box and I bubble wrap the project and air pillow around it. So make sure that if you have an 8x10 print, you have at least an 11x14 inch box. And if your print is, you know, what, an inch tall, make sure you have like a 4-inch tall box. So oversize your boxes anytime you ship something fragile or important. Let's see, another important thing when talking about selling at fairs is your subject matter. If you show up to a fair and you have every kind of different project, like you've got portraits, you've got cowboys, you have turtles, you have dolphins. Huh. No. No. Have some milk, thank you. And you have a couple wood burnings of rocks, and everything is completely unrelated. People tend to come into your booth and they're a little bit confused. So if you can kind of keep your subject matter within a smaller spectrum, that will also help. I've seen photographers do this at craft fairs as well. And at one craft fair, they'll just bring like beach images, beachscapes, lighthouses, sunsets with beaches, something like that. Or just mountain scenery, or just cowboys. But if you start really intermixing your subject matter at especially a high-end craft fair, people come in and get a little confused. You could keep it with like wildlife or sea life or something like that. So keep that in mind as well. That can help better sales, even with prints, if you have kind of a similar subject matter. Now, Comic-Con and those kinds of things I have not done, but those can be a broader range of subject matter, but you're still going to want to stay in the realm of comics or movies or something like that. You wouldn't want to intermix Comic-Con themed stuff with your dog, a wood burning of your dog or your horses. So keep your subject matter as small spectrum as you can with those. Okay. Oh, Larry, what is an air pillow? That's a great, yeah. So you know how when you buy something online and it comes with like those little rectangular plastic things of air? I call them an air pillow. They are kind of connected. They can be shaped like bananas or little rectangles. They can be different shapes, but I don't even know that I have any in here at the moment. But imagine like a little cat was laying on a pillow. It's rectangular and it's just full of air. Sometimes they're connected in a line. That's what I call air pillows. Okay, yeah. So bubble wrap is flat on one side. It has the bubbles on the other side. And you can get big bubbles or small bubbles. And then you have the little air pillows. I just put those around because anytime that I buy something online and I get sent those, I just stuff them in a trash bag and I save them later for sending out artwork. Yeah, Vivian, Amazon. I buy a lot of stuff from Amazon, and Amazon sends those little rectangular air pillows all the time. And I just throw them in a little garbage bag or a box, and I use them for later. Then you don't have to go out and buy packaging material. I'm really liking the area between the eyes here. I'm just talking about all kinds of stuff and I'm kind of zoning out as I'm burning the fur. And that's something that I really like to do is just put on a book on tape. If you sit here and just kind of really focus on the fur strokes, I think it can kind of be, I don't know, maybe a little mind numbing. But if you have something to entertain your brain while you do these fur strokes, I think it goes by really cool. And then you just kind of step back. It's like, oh, this is looking pretty good. Some of these lighter areas here, we're going to want to move the burner really quick. Oh. Sorry guys, sneezing again. I thought I had another sneeze coming on. Okay, so just really, really light to kind of blend these areas together. Make sure that those light strokes follow the flow of the fur. And then it kind of completes that area. So keep in mind that, thanks Vivian. So keep in mind that when you are wood burning, the darks take a long time. The dark midtones take a long time. The midtones take a long time. But once you get those into play, then these little light midtones here, they go so fast. And once you put those in, it really ties everything together. It's one of my favorite stages because it just, oh man, you know, this area looks complete. It turned out okay. We got past the ugly duckling stage. So, and you guys really just hang in there with me on these darker values. But it's so fun to put in the light ones too. It goes so much faster. So kind of like that. So this area in here is really kind of coming to life. So Okay, Beverly has a good point. She's asking, do you buy picture frames and put the print in it? Yes. Oh, that's one thing I don't have on my Amazon store. That is what I probably should. I'm going to zoom out a tad here, and we'll kind of just assess, and I will talk about framing prints. Okay. So a lot of times you can get really inexpensive but classy looking frames at Michael's. They're just like a black frame. I don't even know if I have any here. Hey Jess,
Yeah.
would you go in the hallway and look for like one of my ink paintings in a black frame?
Sure.
Thanks. A little one is fine. And I'll show you what those look like. But they're just a really classy, elegant black frame. And then sometimes you can buy those frames from Michael's with the mat included. Now the mat is the white part inside of the black frame. You can get black frames, brown frames, whatever. I usually like to stick with black frames because it goes with everybody's decor, okay? You don't have to get really fancy and have a red frame. A lot of people aren't going to be really susceptible to that. But Michael's has some really inexpensive frames. They come, I think, perfect. That's awesome. So here we have, no, here. Let me make this bigger and I'll just show you guys here. Yoink. Okay, so simple black frame. I put the hanger on the back. It comes with little hangers here, but if you go to Michael's, you can get a stack of these for not very much. And then, like I said, sometimes they come with the mat. Other times you can actually purchase individual mats on Amazon. So frames from Michael, mats from Amazon, and then I a lot of times will bulk order my prints from my print provider, and then I put the mat, sorry, the print inside the mat and then frame it and do that all myself. So I hope that answers your question. It takes a little bit of time. Sometimes you can just sell the prints in the mat. Sometimes, well, a lot of times when you buy the mat, sometimes they come with like that little, like it's like a plastic wrap that you just slide the mats in. And then you can have like framed ones on the wall for a higher price. And then some of the other prints you can have like in a print bin with just the mat and the print. They're very thin, they're very light. You don't have to worry about with hanging stuff. And people can kind of like filter through. People love to feel stuff. And the more that they hold stuff, the more they're attached to it and they want to buy it, which is pretty cool. So they can kind of pick through there and get just the print with a little cellophane plastic wrap, and you can sell those at a little bit of a discount. Then you don't have to worry about hanging and all that. So I hope that helps. Okay. Thanks, guys. Mellow Yellow, glad to have you here. Yep, you can always rewatch. The mountain lion is really coming together. He's a little bit helter-skelter. We have stuff going everywhere, but all great questions, guys. Let me refocus. Okay. And I'll just kind of keep working. I might come down here onto the nose a little bit. But this is generally how I work on my own projects, is get those eyes in place and then just start building the area around the eyes. Good night, Rachel. Thanks for being here tonight. Thanks, Barbara. Any other questions? You can throw them out there. We have like 5 minutes, so I might just kind of tinker around here with the fur on the nose. But so glad that you guys can be here. Thanks, Larry. Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Shirley. So this center part here, you have to really kind of go back and forth. Those that fur pattern is just like wedging together. Another thing that you can do when you have areas, I think you guys can see, like right here where the fur is so small and so short, instead of actually doing hard edges with fur strokes, you can almost just do some soft shading. Do a soft stroke and just kind of smooth shade those areas. So that's another way where you can kind of get the illusion of that really fine textured fur, like that. See, I've just added some really nice layering to that just by some soft shading. And that's what I'm doing in here as well, and that can create some really kind of softness, some fluffiness to the fur. You don't have to have everything just be texture. You can add the shading in there as well and kind of soften that up a little bit. Because if you have too much texture, you're going to look like a bristle brush or, you know, a wire brush. So we can soften it a little bit with some smooth shading. Very cool. See, that added a really neat dimension there. Kudos to the guys that stayed in here to the very end. Make sure you add some soft shading into your texture. All right, guys. Thank you all again for being here tonight. We will do the same project again next week, and we'll get a little bit farther. Let me kind of refocus so we can get a bird's eye view. That's looking really fun. You're very welcome, guys. So glad to have you here tonight. I hope you can take away something that helps you with your own art, and more importantly, just like gives you the confidence to tackle some of these bigger, maybe more intimidating projects. Just break it down and go for it, and you guys will do great. So, all right. Thanks again, guys. Have a lovely week, and I will see you next Thursday. All right. Good night, guys.